Okay, we're gonna be doing a top 10 shonen video, and before we start, I would like to mention though that the real goal for this video is to actually get more shonen anime that was quite underrated out there, as long as they're good. So, the rankings on this video is not based solely on the content itself. Some of them is based on their popularity, and the more popular a series get, the harder it is to be up there on the list. So, the rankings here does not really mean how much I like it. It might also mean how much it needs love from the people out there. So let's get things started. I think I'm gonna start the list with two more commonly known shonen anime. So number 10, we have Sousei no Omyoji. So what's Sousei no Omyoji? Sousei no Omyoji is a story that tells about two child, one boy, one girl, and there's basically this prophecy that says if they make a baby, that baby will be the savior of humanity. But them being children, middle schoolers at that, are still hormonal, emotional, and therefore they're saying, no, I don't want to make baby with this guy or this girl. So, you know what? Don't make us make babies. We're gonna save the world instead of the baby. So, what? Saving the world is better than making babies? Can you guys believe that? But believe it or not, it ends up being quite hilarious and quite awesome in certain points. You can really feel their relationship starting to develop. You can feel it from when it's starting to appear as a bud and till the very moment where it finally blooms. There are some human conflicts, but the conflicts are those conflicts children would have, not the kind of conflict you'd have as long as you're a high schooler or above. So, in terms of relating and empathizing with the character, it might be difficult unless, you're of that age where you're in middle school or in elementary school where you're still emotional about relationship, where you're still very, very hormonal. So, keep that in mind if you're one of those people who wants to empathize and, relate to a character, because this might not be the show for you, but the pro of the show is that it completely aired the season in one go, so you don't have to wait for the next season for who knows how many months. Which is good, because some shows, they don't make you wait months, they make you wait years. I'm looking at you, Lock Horizon. But good thing is, Lock Horizon is getting a third season soon, so I'm looking forward to that. Moving on to number 9, we have Ansatsu Kyoshitsu. Well, it's a lighthearted story. Maybe not, because I won't spoil you. But it took a turn for a darker path midway, and even then it's still quite enjoyable. I mean, it's shonen, there's fights, there's the comedy aspect to it. In the fight, that's quite natural, and the characters are vibrant. There's many variation of characters. The color palette is nice, and then the arcs are well planned, well executed too. I think I can see how that could happen in a school that was set that way, especially considering how they're given a difference in treatment and how they're given a status. Now, it's not necessarily all bad, it's just that sometimes these things, they get a little bit easy to read. Like the problems that might appear, the problem that might disappear, and how it might disappear, it's kind of readable at a certain point, especially if you watch enough anime. So for that reason, it's stuck in number 9. But if you've never really watched anime before, these plots might not be as easily guessable in the first part. It might still be guessable in the second part, but it's still enjoyable nonetheless. It's a fun ride, and that's why it's on number 9 on this list. So I think we can move on now. And on number 7, no, number 8, what am I doing? We have Denpa Kyoshi. So, what's Denpa Kyoshi? Well, here's a general rule of the thumb in anime. If the title has Denpa in it, it's gonna be funny. So I gave it a try. I was in it for a comedy aspect, and it was certainly there, but when I was watching it, I noticed this seems kind of shonen. So while it might make a reappearance in the comedy aspect of the top 10, I'm also gonna put it here on the shonen because it's a really good watch. It's set in real world Japan, so there's not much world building around it, but you know, it's the real world. You don't really need much world building in the real world, especially if you're not adding aspects to it. And in that case, they have more space and more time for character development and character interaction, in which case it's very real in this show. Now, we don't really see an intense level of character interaction like in drama shows because this is technically a comedy show, but we do get some of those character interactions, and when they do, and you don't think too deeply into it, and you try to put yourself in the shoes of the students or the teacher, you can really feel how this show actually relates to real life. Now, I don't know about some of you people out there, but me personally, I had some problems in my life, some trouble, like miscommunication, or just straight up me not liking people or not liking myself. And sometimes watching anime, it helps me resolve some of these issues, especially if I find it easy to empathize with the main characters themselves. And in this show's case, you can really relate with the characters because one, the main character is an otaku. Two, the main character has a little sister that might or might not be annoying. I think she's adorable, but annoying at the same times. And you know, if I were to project myself in his shoes and she comes in, barging into my room, smashing my collection or other stuff, I'd be pissed. And that's exactly why I can relate quite easily with the main character. But even if you can't relate to the main character, you can still relate with some of the other characters, and they all have their issues, and if you can relate with them, you might find a way to resolve your real life issues. So, yeah, there's a line between fiction and reality that you should not be crossing that and that you should clearly understand, but that doesn't mean you have to completely separate them because most of the time reality is weirder than fiction, and you can learn from fiction to resolve your real problems. So yeah, who says anime is useless? On number 7, and do you note that I'm half putting this here as a joke just to make this reference? On number 7, we have Seven Ghosts. Yeah, Seven Ghosts. Strange title. Strangely not a horror movie, not a horror anime either. It's a series set on a church in a church, and it's fairly old, so you should not be expecting modern day anime style, though we still see glimpses of that in it. You'd be expecting a somewhat similar art style to Tales of Zestria series, but not that smooth. It's still kind of flat. Now, it's fair game given that it's very old, but you know what? The art doesn't really matter. For the most part, in an anime, if you're already in the series for like 6 episodes, the art stops mattering to you. You're just looking at the character and the story. And guess what? The story here is really good. Character feels human, anxiety and everything, it's all real. And then the fights carry so much weight most of the time. There's literally a meaning behind the fight. So the fight scenes are not just fan service. For those of you who want to see fight scenes, those are actually also a part of the character's development, which I think is awesome, to be honest. I like it when a fight that should be and is a fan service also turns into something else, especially if it's character development. I mean, sure, I like it when they're fighting, but I mean, the fighting kind of turns kind of boring if the recipe for the fight is main character starts shouting, fighting equals over. Because shouting equals main character gets power up and is gonna win in the first place. So that's kind of a boring recipe. Now with this one, the fight's intense, it feels real, it feels personal, and that's exactly why it matters. So moving on number 6, we have Chaos Dragon Sekiryu. Now, if you guys are gonna watch this because you haven't, let me say this first. This show is not for the faint of heart. And I think for that reason it did not gain much popularity, which I think is very sad because, well, how should I put this? It's a really good show. The characters are real, they feel real. Sure, it's fantasy and isekai, but not teleportation or reincarnation, so you don't really get to empathize as a real world people that much, but the characterization, the interaction, the expression they use, the music accompanying it, the color palette that changes for certain scenes, oh my, it's awesome. Definitely should watch it. It's definitely worth watching, and you know, we need more of these kind of anime. I mean, the realism in it, despite the fact that it's fictional, gives it an odd balance where it's fiction, but you feel like it might be real. And when you get this balance, this odd balance where it's just, it's A but it's B, it's real but it's fake, you really get deeply emotional into the series, and that actually helps enhance the series as a whole because of how it's executed. So, for that reason, Chaos Dragon Set Review, yeah, that's this spot on this list. So, moving on, we have Haito Genso no Grimgar. There's not really much I can say about it without spoiling it, so I'll be using spoilers from episode 1. Or maybe 2. It follows a group of people that's teleported to another world, but the difference this time is they don't have cheats. What's wrong? They don't got cheats. That feels so wrong. And you know what? It should be wrong. Like, it doesn't make sense if you're teleported to another world without cheats. How does that work? How do you survive? Well, actually, we don't really know how teleporting to another world work. We don't really know how reincarnation to another world work. And the whole, yay, I'm going to another world, I'm gonna get cheats and I'm gonna get filthy rich and I'm gonna bang all the girls out there thing. That's just an isekai anime trope. We don't really know if that's how it works, if it's even real. But in the off chance it's real, because you know, we got a dream, right? We don't know how it goes. We don't know how it'll go. We don't know how it's executed. And we don't know if we're gonna get cheats. Doesn't sound quite appealing anymore now, does it? Well, not for me, it's still appealing. Why? Because Haito Genso no Grimgar. Now, imagine an isekai anime that does not have an overpowered character. I mean, if you want a more recent example, we can go Goblin Slayer, but that's gonna be in a seinen top videos. Not a shonen, that's definitely not a shonen. So, why am I talking about realistic isekai here? Because Haito Genso no Grimgar takes a very different approach. Bonds and relationship takes a very deep place in this series, and you know what? I think that's important too. Now, the main characters in the series, they grow in the same rate the people of this world grows. So, this is definitely a weak to strong series, but even when they grow strong, they still don't get cheats level of strong. They're just common level strong. And for a realistic point of view in isekai, that's totally fine by me. I mean, if all the isekai thing just go, main character comes into the battlefield, swings her sword once, swing his axe once, or cast one magic, battle's over. I know I'm exaggerating, but bear with me. Isn't it kind of boring? Yes, you do want to feel strong with fantasy, but we know that going too strong is bad, which is why we like shows like Konosuba. They're strong, they're overpowered. Darkness, basically invulnerable. Megumi, basically have maximum attack stats. Aqua, very useful but very useless, because whatever plus she brings, she just brings it to neutralize the minus she brings in the first place. So, very useful, but very useless. But we like it. We like that character dynamic. We like how it's not boring. Kazuma doesn't come in and solve the problem in a jiffy, like, done, problem solved, Demon King dead. No, he thinks, something we can do on an everyday basis, like, oh, I want to watch this anime, but it's expensive as heck. So, how do I go about getting it for a cheaper price? Or better yet, free. But don't pirate. We'll talk about this maybe in the future. That's the kind of thing we want to feel. What happens if we go to an isekai without cheats? How would we look at the world? How would the world look at us? And for that reason, Haito Genzo no Green Guard gets this spot on the list. And I must say it's impressive. For a show that's based on an isekai, does not make you feel powerful, getting the number 5 spot is very impressive. So, moving on, we got number 4, Ao no Exorcist. It's not completely aired yet. We still got some more in store for us in the future. Maybe, hopefully. But its premise is good. The main character is unique. Now, given there's more of similar main characters these days, but given that this show is kind of one of the first ones that gains popularity, we need to give it credit for that. The character dynamic is real, the main characterization is good, and you know what, all in all, it's kind of a masterpiece for me. But there's just a little bit of but here. What makes it really sore for me is that it lacks world building. Now, given I did mention some other anime before with this same problem, but here's my take on it. With that anime before, then Pakyoshi, it's set in real world Japan and only real world Japan. So that's totally fine if they don't do world building. It's perfectly fine. Problem is, Ao no Exorcist mainly focus on the mystical world. And it's not just a mystical part of the world that's hidden from the common mass, like in the Towaru series. This is like basically an isekai. If you watch tokusatsu, you are basically looking at the other world you can access from the real world, like in Kamen Rider Den-O, the time-space continuum space where the Denliner goes, or the forest in Kamen Rider Gaim. Which is why Exorcist really lacks the world building aspect to it, or at least that's how I feel. And when they take that away, it makes it kind of hard to make fan theories. And you gotta admit, that's a really good part of the fandom. Which is why shows like How I Met Your Mother and some other series gains popularity. We like to make theories, and theories, mind you, does not have to be about plot. It can also be about character relationship. Which is why we have the waifu ship wars. Ram or Emilia. Or heck, maybe Ram or Beatrice or anyone else for that matter, swinging in from the side, underdogs. We can also go, Chitoge, or who knows, maybe we can go someone else, anyone in the series, anyone in the harem for that reason. We love these things. Right? Don't you? You never been in a waifu war? That shit is real. It might break friendships. Especially in yaoi ones, but I won't get into that because I'm not into that. Sorry yaoi fanboys and fangirls. It's just not my cup of tea. So, yeah, it's really lacking for me in that department. It takes some of the fun away, and for that reason it's stuck in number 4. But hey, at least it's number 4, so that says something. Moving on to number 3, we have Noragami. Noragami is a really good series, but shares the same problem number 4 has. World building. It's set in real world Japan. Okay. Problem is they're adding aspects from the mythology, like Takamagahara and Yomi, which you can also translate to more common terms as heaven, hell. Yeah. So we're going with Japanese mythology or Shinto aspect here, but obviously since this is an anime, there's slight twists and turns to it. It's similar enough with the base concept, but there are twists and turns to it. And they're not really delving much into it like you literally see Takamagahara only once, twice, maybe three times in the whole anime, and you only see Yumi once. So that says something. It's just, give me more. I need more. And if you're gonna show me Izanami, I wanna see Izanagi. Or the gods that came before them for that reason. I mean, sure, they died technically, but you know, it's still good if you can get a glimpse of it. You know. Which is why Noragami lands a spot on number 3. But if it shares the same problem with, I don't know, Exorcist, why is it on number 3? Why is it not on number 4? Well, art. You gotta admit the art's beautiful, the battle flows really fluidly, and the movement seems realistic if you discount the fact that you need to jump quite high. But hey, if you do martial art training, you might be able to do it. So there's realism in how the gods fight, and characterization. Oh, characterization. This shares the same boon Denpakyoshi has, where it actually helps you resolve your real life problem. How the main character interact with many of the side characters or the other main cast, you see that they have their problems and how they go about resolving their problems. And you can use that as reference to help solve your own real life problem, which is a really good boon. Plus, they have more dynamics. With Denpakyoshi, it's just one, technically an adult, but you don't really see him as an adult because of how he acts. One more mature than the main character, little sister, and the rest are just students. So that's a problem because they share the same age dynamic. In here, we get a variety of dynamics, which is good. We have an adolescent, we have a teenager, we have a depressed god, so we can use that as reference for adult. But because he acts like a teenager and an adolescent at the same time too sometimes, you can use that. Social anxiety, bam, there's your solution. Or at least you can try it as a solution. Which means this show is very useful and highly enjoyable. Like I said, who says anime is useless? It's very useful actually. So for that reason, it's sitting at number 3. Now for number 2, we have Star Driver. Now it's a really good show, but to be honest, if we're ranking this solely on content, it's probably gonna sit on number 3 or 4. But it got a boost to how unpopular it is. Now, mind you, I don't mean people hate it. I mean it's underrated. People don't know it. I don't know about your community out there, but in my community, let's say there's 10 people. Only 2 of them would know, other than me of course, about this series, and most likely they know it because I told them about it. And when they do give it a try, they love it. So I can say that this show is good. It's really enjoyable to watch, but people don't know about it, and it's sad. I mean, one of the fun things about being in a fandom is that you have people to talk about things you like with. Which is why otakus like us, we can get along fairly well with strangers as long as we know they're otakus, even if it's our first time meeting them, because guess what? We love the same thing and we can talk quite easily because there's a really well defined conversation topic. It's like, dude, you watch Noragami? Yeah, let's talk. Dude, you watch Kiss Exist? Yeah, let's talk. You watch Koi to Uso? Let's talk. You watch insert whatever title you're watching? Let's talk. That's the kind of thing we enjoy. We love it. We love that kind of fandom interaction with one another. And the fact that they're basically taking it away from us by not being popular, it's a sad thing, which is why I want to get the show out there. Because I love it. This show has many pros. It's got good songs, good character interaction, good character development. It's dramatic, but it's not over the top. Plus, it's seriously romantic. Like, I get it, romance is a part of drama, but this romance can give a run for its money to many romance genre anime, or heck, real dramas. And it won't really lose out because it's awesome. Plus, many good songs. Did I mention good songs? So there's 4 certain characters I won't tell you about, but will be very obvious when you watch it. These characters have character songs and they sing it in the anime. Yes, the character songs appears in the anime. And that's awesome. I love it. Give me more. Now, it's a 20 plus anime series, so I get it if you might not want to give it a try. Even if you're in a pandemic, or if you're watching this in the future, you're no longer in a pandemic, so you don't really get time to give it a try for an entire series. So, good news for those of you who don't want to give that much time for a new series. This series actually has a movie episode that basically sums up the entirety of the series, given there's a lot of content cuts, and also gives you a what happens after glimpse. So, for those of you who wants to know more, this is a perfect show. It's really good. I find it really enjoyable, and for me, it's just sad that not many people know it. So yeah, do give it a try. But we don't have enough time, so we gotta move on to the honorable mentions. Now, before I do the honorable mentions, there are 2 honorable mentions that I'm gonna give. But you can go down on the comment before I do, and just comment on what you think should be the honorable mention. I mean, who knows, your honorable mention guess might be the top one, or it might be actually in the honorable mention. I won't tell you though. But even if it's not on this list, you might be able to tell people out there about the show you love, and they might start watching it, and therefore you might have more people to talk about it with. Let's make a community. It's a fun thing to have, it's a fun thing to do. And talking with people that love the same thing you love and sharing the joy with them, for me personally, that's something I really enjoy as a part of this community. So, the honorable mentions are Bakuman and Scat Dance. They're both long-running series, they're both really fun, and there's actually an Easter egg about them, so I won't go into them in this video. I'll make a separate video for the both of them, and I'll either mention the Easter egg I told you earlier in one of the videos, or I might just make an entirely separate video about anime interactions with one another. So yeah, it's really enjoyable to find out these things. Especially considering I did not realize this Easter egg when I was watching one of them in the first place, but then I watched the second one and I was like, wait, what? And I went back to the other show, checked it, it's real, and wow, I'm mind blown. It's awesome. It shows me that it's not just us fans that's connected in the community, even the creators are connected in the community. And that's just amazing. It's awesome. And for that, Japan animation industry, you have my respect. And how I wish us fans can make a community that good. Which is why you anime YouTubers out there, if you're watching this and you feel the same way, feel free to hit me up and maybe we can do a collab. Expanding the community is always a good thing, and personally, I might be watching some of your channels. Taku, Anime Man, Noble, Akiiris, others. I mean, there's a lot. I won't mention all of them. But moving on, let's go to the very top. We got Tegami Bachi, or letter B. Now, I won't give you much of an explanation for it, because it'll be spoilery, but generally it goes like this. Take Violet Evergarden, take God Eater, and take your general FPS, or if you don't really play FPS, for a depiction you just want to go Gun Gale Online maybe? Mix them all together. You don't get pen, pineapple, apple, pen. You get letter B. It's a really touching show in general. The characterization is so smooth. The battle is kind of awesome. Now, given this is a fairly old anime, you don't expect modern day quality, but you can expect the story. But don't worry, if you're in it for the art too, the art style I feel does not lose out to modern day anime style. In fact, in some aspects, it's still better than modern day anime. So keep that in mind, and you should definitely give it a try. Personally, I do enjoy it, so I want more people to enjoy it. And this show is kind of popular, so the fact that it lands a #1 spot in this video it really says something. And yeah, it's real life problems too. I mean, the way I like to enjoy anime is when I watch it, I empathize with the character, I try to sympathize, I try to put myself on his shoes or her shoes, and I try to feel the problem as if they're my problem, and it's really touching, these things. So yeah, do give it a try. Tegami Bachi is an awesome series. And if you like this video, if you feel it's helpful for you, leave a like. You can subscribe if you want. Definitely comment down below if you got an anime you would recommend me to watch or recommend other people to watch, because it's a good thing to do. You're giving the series you love more love, and in the end you're also giving yourself more friends you can talk about these things with. So it's a really good thing in general. So see you on the next video, hopefully. Bye.